everybody. Welcome to another episode of Faith in Homebuying. My name is Tamika Ellsworth, and I'm here equipping people of faith for the home buying process. And again, I have my industry friends on the line with me. I have Leah and Audrey. Please, ladies, say hello.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So yes, we are about to be ending out the year, and of course, I'm dating this stuff, but it's really, really good, because if you missed the last show, I would encourage you to go back and listen to it, whether that be on the KFAX site or Spotify, or just catch me on Instagram, Tamika Ellsworth on Instagram, or and even just, like I said, Spotify, Faith in Home Buying. But when we talk about going into the next year, like I've already told you guys, like I am not a big component of what is it, New Year resolutions? Because honestly, it just maybe the diet part kind of works for me, just for like maybe like 2 weeks, but I got something better. No, exactly. And then the worst part, the worst time to sit here and try to do it, and when you can't have any wine. Anyways. So what I think, just from us talking, like I think it's really blessed people on setting themselves up for something practical into the next year. So not only like goal setting, like God's way, and kind of going the spiritual route, because we all know like things happen in the spiritual first and then in the physical. It's even more so obvious when you set up your life. One of the things I was talking to you ladies about, like before we got on, was something called a destiny plan, what I talked about before. So I'm going to go into that today. And destiny plan, like I didn't know that people didn't do this, like to map out their life, kind of like and what they think that God wants them to do. Now, granted, let's back up. This is something where, maybe, I prayed and I kind of fasted, and I said, God, like, I know that there's a design purpose for my life. I'm here, I have breathing. There's so much stuff that I went through, even at times that could have taken me out, but I'm here. And so I know that there's something that you have destined for me, and I want to fulfill it all. I don't want to leave here without fulfilling every single drop of gifts that you put inside me. And so how can I go about doing that? I know my mind has been renewed. I know my heart is, and now I want to have a sit down with you so I can know my destiny, and hear it and believe that what God is speaking to me, that it's the truth. Right. And so destiny planning. So the first part to it, and guess what? Y'all can't see this on the radio, but I'm showing, like, this is my first one that I did, and it's just constantly evolving. But I did this in November. Oh, wow. November of 2003. And it still has my maiden name, Tamika Bush, on it. And it was just something about 11th hour organizations. I just kind of said, okay, yeah, I could see that as I don't know, like a header of it, but building, which is interesting because I had just started on carpentry too in 2001. So it was like 2 years in, but building solid foundations in the lives of this generation, right? Like media, missions, and ministry. That was the thing in 2000 that held me solid, right? And so in going into doing destiny planning, I would encourage that. So what is like the theme or the topic that you can say your life, is? If you had like one statement, right? And maybe even a sub-statement to that. And then what statement would that be? Again, mine's here, of course, it's evolved over time, but still, there's no wrong answer, right? Mm-hmm. And so following that is, and I've had notes on this, I've changed things, updated things and stuff on it too. But the biggest thing, just like you would do with business planning, mission statement. What is your mission statement? And again, this can change over time and evolve over time. And I even encourage you, like if you have a spouse or someone that you trust in your life, I wouldn't say give this to like everybody and anybody, because not everybody needs to know everything that you are planning to do or what God has for you, because ill intentions are there. But what I would say is get with someone, even with this whole thing after you're finished, and present it to them. And, in vulnerability, kind of saying, in feedback, because it's going to help you too, kind of see someone spiritually that you really trust that can speak life into your situation. I would absolutely encourage that, because that's life-changing as well. So mission statement, what does that mean? So for me, and I've changed it further, but my original one was building platforms for this nameless generation to express what is on their hearts through the work of their hands. So that was something that I knew like at that time that I wanted to do. So platforms like public speaking venues, from mission trips to production resources, those type of things that I wanted to create opportunities. And it's so interesting because I was doing it on radio. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to do these things in 2003. And so what does that look like, now? So, for construction, I wanted to do that. These are platforms, construction platforms, media platforms, and then identity, right? And so you incorporate that into your mission statement, just like you would a business plan. Okay. Any questions so far with that? Or like, I'll pause right there. I'm talking a whole lot.
Yeah, I love hearing what you put in 2003 because knowing everything that you've done just since I've met you and just how that really you've encompassed all that. I love that. I'm super impressed. And they say, like, if you don't write it down, you're not going to have anything to focus on. If you don't share it with people around you to get the right support, then, it's just great to see that it's all come to fruition.
Isn't that crazy?
I think also the other interesting thing is like show that there's the patience there, right? Like you set this intention and then years have passed. Yes. And you've been enjoying the process of everything. It wasn't so much of like, I got to make this goal at this time. I set it for 20 or whatever, and it never happened. You just like, I'm just going to keep, and I bet you that during the whole time, there's been these other things that have been evolving that you didn't even think about when you first started. And then now these other fruits are like blossoming off of this very beautiful tree that Tamika has created. And it's great. I mean, you and we didn't know about our relationship a year ago, right, and now here we are. So yeah, there's so much blessings and keeping that information, writing it down, and creating that destiny plan, which I'm really excited to hear about today.
Exactly. No, look, I'm telling, like, it's just a trip going back to, I used to keep journals a lot. Like, matter of fact, I have calendar journals that I would write things on, and I could see, and this is like, because this is a side note on things, obviously, but like, I would encourage people, like, even in your life, it doesn't matter where you start, but especially like people that are newly finding their walk with God and just their spiritual, journey. Like, I would so encourage you to document things, because one of the ways in which you can see, like, when you're having a hard time, when you're having just a mental day where you just like nothing's going, right, or, that kind of thing, it's something to refer back to say, you know what, I'm not that same person. And it may seem right now that times are being, pressure on things, or whatever the case may be, the world is giving, and feeling hopeless, or feeling like you're just not going anywhere. But looking back on your life, and I can look back all the way to 2001, like the day that I walked into a church and, got saved and got radically delivered, I can walk back to that moment and see the steps of what I was trying to do in order to change my life and to walk with God. And it wasn't easy. I put the slip ups and everything on there. One of these days I have to show you guys this, but I put the slip ups, I put everything inside there. But I look at it now and say, you know what, Lord, like, I'm definitely not perfect, but I love the process that you've done. It's my life, right? But I love what you've done. And it allowed me to appreciate even more what God was doing in people's lives. And, in my life, as well as other people I would see. That's what made me appreciate it more with even other people, to see them walk out their life, and you kind of sit back and, you're walking your thing out, they're walking their thing out too, but you see people evolve. It's just an amazing experience.
Yeah, on the reverse. Go ahead. I'm sorry, were you going to say something?
No. I was thinking of you. I hope you share what you told us before we started recording.
Yeah. Well, on the reverse side, that's what I was going to say, was like, we just cleaned out our storages, got them all organized, and I found my box of my journals from like 2011 all the way back, because I think that's when I started documenting. And I'm going through them and I'm like, same person, 2013, same person, 2018, same person. And so what that does, like I said, on the reverse, on the other side of the spectrum, it's showing you maybe where you haven't developed and grown. And for me, 2020, 2021, 2022 have been the most like evolutionary years for me. And so through my journal, so what I did, I didn't tell you guys this, is I threw away those journals. I threw them away because I'm not that person anymore, because I've changed so dramatically from 2020 to now. And it's almost like I've been reborn again. So it's exciting. I'm excited when we get to that. I'm sure the second half now with the destiny plan, because I am already kind of putting in those nuggets that we've heard from the last two shows of, you know, what we're going to be changing for 2023, what we're planning now. So
I love what you said, Leah, because it's kind of like how we've talked in other portions where it's like there's a time and a season for everything. So sometimes who we want to be and the things that we want to accomplish. If you look back, I love what you said, because you're like, what, 2011 today? And then you made the most growth that you're super proud of in the last couple of years. But during that whole time you were growing, you were just focusing on things. I mean, you have your kids, your family. I only have one kid. I have no idea how you do it. Right. So
that's what I'm saying.
Like,
Superwoman.
You probably think like, oh my gosh, I didn't have that much growth. I look at you and I'm like, I know that you were doing so much during that time frame. So it's great to see that maybe you're just kind of focusing on the goals that are super important to you years, and it's your season. You're like, you know, really growing into that. I'm excited about that.
Thank you.
Exactly. No, well, exactly. Well, this is one of the things that this is for, Leah, and thank you very much for bringing it up, because you're not the only one that has that thought. And this is one of the reasons why I'm hoping that someone catches a nugget of this and they see that, look, you're not alone. And this is one of the reasons why too, talking about this, that maybe, because what I said before, like maybe, just maybe, if we find ourselves kind of stuck, maybe trying to do it a different way actually might bring different results, right? If you want to know what something is created for, you usually go to the maker of it, right? The creator. So why not, if you say, look, hey God, you know what? I've been trying to do this my way for years, and I'm getting some traction on here. Thank you for your mercy. But you know what? I think it's kind of time that I really have a sit down with you and really see and map out my life as I would a business. Some people take their businesses like way more I don't know. They plan it out a lot more than they do their lives. And in all actuality, it should kind of be reversed. What does your life say? And then do the goal setting. So when we come back, I'm going to finish naming the different topics, and we're going to talk more about destiny planning going into 2023. So stay tuned. Tamika Ellsworth and friends, Audrey and Leah. We are equipping people of faith for the home buying process. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back, everyone. Equipping people of faith for the home buying process, faith and home buying, here with my buddies, Leah and Audrey. So I'm just going to get right into it. So talked about destiny plan, talked about the first, naming a statement, right, on like you would a business, but it's your life. Naming a statement on it. What statement would sum up who you are, right? The second one was a mission statement, which is huge because you have that for businesses, have it for your life, right? Mission statement. The next thing would be, it's kind of a phrase. If I could, I would. Okay, simple as that. No limitations from money, age, time, resources. If I could, I would. To give you an example of something that I did, again, back in 2003, November of 2003, and it's almost coming up like a whole 20 years. It's so crazy. The first thing I did, because I was really interested at the time and I had just got started in it, would be produce movies and film. So media ultimately was the biggest things. And it's so funny because I wanted to talk about real relevant issues, you know, the ups and downs of our walk with Christ, you know, that'd be real people, teens and people, documentary style. Like I wrote all these things down, dreams and visions, that it was geared toward the world, just not just Christians, and letting the world see what Christ is like, not just a cakewalk, but possible through the blood of Jesus. Like I wrote this down, right? So that was the first one. The second one was building outreach and missions. So I already had building in my heart that I wanted to do. Didn't really quite understand it at the time, but buildings and mission, comes to find out I'm doing a lot of kingdom building. So the biggest thing was having a construction business. Now, mind you, please, construction business is something that I'm moving into as far as development. So 20 years ago, I already pursued by talking to God that I knew I would do something in construction and business. And here it is, I'm walking out, like literally packed up, move, walking it out where I'm at in Texas and expanding. Craziness. You know, empowering women, you know, with, you know, construction choices, the very walk that I went through. So it's just amazing to see. So If I could, I would, okay? And then the next thing would be to look at skills and talents, okay? So what are you already doing like now currently? And so as we're older, it's a little bit more, we could fill this stuff in a little bit better because we walk life. But even if you are younger, this is also something really, really good to foresee, and maybe skills and talents that you probably want. But really you want to focus on the very things that you know that you're good at, right? No limitations here. I'm kind of good like that, but no. We're not letting fear. We're not letting any of that. Intrinsically, you know you. And what are you good at? Your skills and your talents. Write it down. Makes a whole difference when you are sitting there looking at these things in your personal destiny plan, because God's going to start to speak to you, right? And so the next one, if you haven't understood, didn't know this, is called spiritual gifts. This is important. Now, there are other, I think I took a spiritual gift course. I don't have necessarily that information now, but maybe on the next one, I'll send some that I took. Actually, I probably do. But either way, it's spiritual gifts. They have a lot of things, even online, they're free, that you could take to understand what your spiritual gifts are. All important. Why? So that you know what your wheelhouse is and a lot of the things that you to do, and just helps you be real well-rounded. So when you're developing gifts and you're in a certain job, you know, I know my spirit is, if it's administration. So for instance, myself, it was like the gift of prophecy. That was one thing, prophetically, just kind of speaking. I knew I had to be conscious of my words and the things that I spoke over myself and over people. The gift of teaching, exhortation, which is teaching is one. Exhortation is one of the things that I'm spiritually gifted of, you know, making people feel good and positive about themselves. And the gift of helps. I love helping. I've served like all my life and I love to serve. So I knew these things about myself and of spiritual discernment. So knowing these things, it really, really helped me navigate my life and my destiny, because I knew I had a framework of what God intrinsically did inside of me spiritually. So spiritual gifts, okay? We could talk about the test. I think I had that. I can either have it on this one or the next one. But then one of the also after that is your core values and your moral system. Okay, this is kind of under your mission statement that you could put it there too, but looking at your core values, your moral system. Who are you? What makes you tick, right? Some of the things that, you know, kind of listing, like I listed, you know, love, encouraging, integrity. I've had this already back in 2003. And these are some of the things that I still walk with: honesty, humbleness, and being transparent. Allow God to fight my battles. So dependent on, you know, God's resources, whatever it may be, these are more adjectives, 7 to 8, you know, adjectives that you would list on your core values and your moral system. This is good because you're getting it from here on paper, and it hits a whole lot differently when you put it down in front of you on who you are, right? And then what others see or say about your vision. Now, remember, this is more, you know, being careful on who it is that you let in your sphere and in your mind of the things that you have on your heart to do, because not everybody is for you. They just aren't. Yeah. And you got to understand too, the devil is not omnipotent, omnipresent. He don't know everything. He goes based off of our actions, our past actions, right? Our fears and all that other kind of stuff, right? Because that's what he's here for. So to be careful what you speak out and who you speak out, because once you speak it out, he had no clue, but all of a sudden, oh, I have a clue on what it is. Let me put some fear in that. Let me put some doubt. Let me have your spouse talk some mess. Let me have this friend say something. Let me have your mom mess you up. You know what I mean? Like, so it's being careful and holding it really close to your heart, the very things that you see in your vision, because some of them are probably big, and you don't want naysayers to be like, well, that's just, you know what I mean? People say some stupid stuff out their mouth, right? We don't want that. We want people with faith and to believe in you, and to know that constructively they can talk about these things and maybe poke holes in certain things, but they're constructive versus detrimental, you know? So what others see or say about your vision. And I mean, mine was pretty much people saying like, oh yeah, absolutely, I could see that. Women need to be empowered. People say in general, it's a great idea. So I talked about those things in media and production. So it was a lot of positive. And then for the person that I spoke to. So that's kind of nice to see, okay, what are other people saying? Not to say that it means anything, but it's just good to kind of know that usually it will connect, or usually it will tie in. Okay. And then lastly, like, but some people I know haven't had this ability to have this, but some people have, and trusted words of knowledge and information from trusted sources. So what is God saying about my life? So these are prophetic words that were spoken over you that you knew resonated inside of you. Word of the Lord is what it is. And even at this time, I've had for these 2 years or 3 years, I had people speaking into my life that I trusted, that I knew that that's the word of the Lord. And, you know, I'm not going to go into it, but what I did is I actually wrote these down. So, I mean, I have a whole lot of words, even from them that I just haven't written down, but I wrote down a lot of the words, and it hits a lot differently when you've recorded words or things, even if God has spoken to you as well, like journaling down and God has actually said some things. These are things that, you know, came straight from the throne room. God said it. I believe it. It resonates. Let me put this down on paper. Mm-hmm. And so, and that's the last part to it. And, you know, knowing that it's still, it changes, it updates, but at least there's a solid core of who you are for your destiny planning. So let's talk about that. We got a few minutes to talk about that. I know it's a lot, you know, to kind of say, but I feel like, you know, diving into, you know, that, you know, I mean, how do you feel about that? Do you think that doing something like this would help, you know, open up some things, open up some thought? Leah?
Oh yeah, man. Woo! This is good stuff. Especially, I think the best part is recognizing and understanding that, you know, to pick your circle. I mean, you mentioned mothers and spouses, and I never understand why people don't talk about, like, hey, you know what? If you have negative energy, just walk away from it. And it's like, well, if it's your mother, or if it's your child, or if it's your spouse, it's not that easy. So I really appreciate that part about, like, you know, trying to keep your dreams and your goals and keep it close to your heart. And then allowing those that are open to doing constructive criticism, not to bring you down. Those points are really valid to me right now. So I appreciate that.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. Audrey.
Yeah, this really resonates with me, because before I had my big aha, you know, with being a Christian and following God and kind of changing my whole life in that direction, I had really been searching for, you know, I'm pretty successful in my career. I love my family, have an awesome kid. And I was searching, one of my business coaches, I was like, I need to find a deeper why. Like, I need to find, you know, kind of the source of happiness. It's so interesting how they say, like, hey, you can have everything. Not that I had everything, but you know, you can have everything, but God is really the true source of happiness. And my coach had recommended a book where you kind of write your own eulogy. And what it does is you're thinking about, okay, here I am on my deathbed. What would I want people to say about me? You know, what kind of person do I want to be? So it's kind of working your life in reverse. And that hit home for me. And this resonates with me because it's basically the same thing. You're writing your life plan. What kind of person do I want to be? But more importantly, tuning into, you know, what did my author create me to be, and really stepping into that. So this really resonates with me because that's the whole list. And that hits so hard for me, because my ultimate mission statement, I realized for me, business, all that kind of stuff, it comes naturally, you know, ethics, doing things. But what was most important to me is I wanted people in my life to know that they were loved. And so that's my mission. Is it's not super complicated, and it doesn't have to be. It's going to be different for everybody. But I love hard on the people in my life. And, you know, I want everybody to know. And I think that's something that I'm kind of tapping into with God. And like you ladies have said, listening to how he speaks to you, might be through people, you know, might be through when you're journaling, but that's how I feel he speaks to me. Is I kind of hear the same things from a few trusted people. I'm like, that's him. He can be lying, because it's coming from multiple people. And it's like just tapping into that. And it's such a fun experience. And it's just, you just go so much deeper than just the normal to-do list, you know? And it's reaching your goals and not worrying about that to-do list. But
I always say that God he likes to play games with his children, you know, like how you do with your own child. You like to play ball, or, you know, whatever, hide and seek, tag. But I always think it's connect the dots. I always feel it's connect the dots. And so when you say that you hear someone say that same message, 3 different people, 3 different cities, 3 different times, and they're saying the same message. Yeah, I do the same thing too, Audrey. I say, oh my gosh, it's God. Okay, this is God. This is God.
Well,
yeah.
What I hope that our listeners today like have a sense of just newness. I hope in 2023, since we're about to be wrapping up, I hope that this, and we're going to continue on throughout the rest of the year, so stay tuned to that. But I really, really hope that you have a sense of adventure, newness and adventure coming into this next year, because it's going to be an amazing year. It just is. I sense it, I feel it, I see it. And even more so to go into it with not only just the business part, because that's gonna be there, like especially if you are geared towards that and you're built like that, but even more so that you go in knowing that you're intrinsically created for something in a time as this, and you have something special to share with the world that you're just getting prepared to do. So thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. Audrey and Leah, thank you. You can catch Audrey over at the Hutton Mortgage team on Instagram. And also Leah Momentum over there in Sacramento. Thank you, ladies, and see you next week.